The sky was dark with smoke. Fire burned across the battlefield. Explosions shook the ground. Ships were broken, and bodies lay still. The war between humans and the Xarians had reached its worst point. No one was safe. Everyone ran, screamed, or fought. It was a nightmare with no end. In the middle of the chaos, she fell. The alien warrior, known as Commander Neela of the Xarian elite, once feared by both allies and enemies, was now lying on the ground. Her armor was cracked, her leg was bleeding, and her energy was fading fast. She had taken a hit from a human plasma cannon. The blast broke her left leg and tore through her chest armor. She had dragged herself behind a fallen ship, but now she could move no more. Nyla's sharp ears twitched at the sound of boots running past. But they were not coming to help. Her own people, the Xarians, had received a retreat signal. Escape pods had launched. Her unit had left her behind. No one turned back. Not even her second in command. She was paralyzed, broken, and forgotten. Pain shot through her body. Her breathing slowed. Her hands trembled. She pressed her fingers into the dirt, trying to crawl. But her body wouldn't listen. She screamed, but it was more of a whisper now. The dust filled her lungs, and tears ran down her cheeks, though she would never call them tears. Xarians didn't cry. But today, she did. Her mind raced with questions. Why did they leave me? After all I did for them? Is this how I die? Alone, like this? Suddenly, she heard something dash footsteps. Not running. Slow. Careful. A shadow appeared through the smoke. A tall figure, holding a weapon. Not Xarian. It was a human soldier. Nyla's heart raced. She couldn't fight. She couldn't even move. If the human saw her, he could shoot her without a second thought. She was a threat, yes, but now just a wounded animal waiting for death. The soldier moved closer. His face was calm, focused. He had armor covered in dust, with cuts and burns. He looked around, weapon ready. Then he saw her. His eyes widened slightly. Not in fear, not in hate, but in shock. Nyla tried to lift her hand, just to show she was still alive. Her fingers twitched. But that was all. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Help. Me." The human stood still. He stared at her. Seconds passed like hours. She expected him to raise his weapon, but he didn't. Instead, he dropped to one knee beside her. His name tag read J. Ryder. He looked into her eyes, not like an enemy, but like a person, someone suffering. "Are you conscious?" he asked. His voice was rough, but not cruel. Nyla blinked. Slowly. That was all she could do. Ryder looked at her broken leg, the burnt armor, and the blood. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small med foam canister. He sprayed it on her leg, stopping the bleeding. The foam hissed, sealing the open wound. She flinched in pain, but didn't scream. "You're lucky I found you," Ryder said quietly, looking over his shoulder. "But not everyone will be happy I did." She looked at him with confusion. Why was he helping her? "I should leave you here," he said. "You're one of them." His voice paused. "But I won't." Nyla's eyes filled with something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Ryder pulled a cloak from his bag and covered her armor. "I can't carry you far, not like this. But I'll find a way." She wanted to speak, to ask him why. But her voice was gone. So instead, she simply looked at him, truly looked. Not as a human, but as someone who had made a choice. When no one else did. Smoke rose high above them. The war still raged in the distance. But here, behind a broken ship, a new story had started. One where an enemy showed mercy. One where a human refused to walk away. Asterisk, the battlefield was quiet now. Too quiet. Ash fell from the sky like gray snow. The fire had stopped, but the danger hadn't. Every step the human soldier took echoed in the silence. J. Ryder kept his head low. watching the shadows, scanning every corner with sharp eyes. He had survived too many ambushes to be careless now. He didn't know what made him turn back. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was something more. His orders were clear. Check for survivors. Collect data and return to base. No delays. No contact with the enemy, especially not with them, the Zarians. They were ruthless, powerful, and known for showing no mercy. But something had pulled him back to the wreckage, and then he saw her, through the smoke, lying against the bent remains of a scorched dropship. Her silver armor caught a flicker of fading light. The alien woman was still there, barely alive. Her body broken, her skin pale. Eyes open, but heavy with pain. He had seen wounded enemies before. Some cried for help. Some cursed with their last breath. But this one watched him. Not with anger. Not with fear. Just eyes full of silence. He remembered those eyes. They haunted him all night after he first found her. That was 3 hours ago. Now, he was back. Ryder knelt beside her again, checking her wounds. The med foam had worked, but not for long. She was fading fast. Her breathing was shallow, and her hands were cold. She had lost too much blood. Her armor was heavy, too heavy to carry alone. Still, she was alive. "I knew you were still here," he whispered. "I couldn't leave you like this." Her lips moved slightly. A faint word escaped, soft and hard to understand. It wasn't English. Ryder didn't speak Zarian, but he knew the tone. She was asking why. He sat beside her, his rifle across his lap, and spoke quietly, as if talking to the fire itself. "You looked at me like no one else ever did. Not like a soldier. Not like a killer. Just a man." He glanced at her again. "And I saw something in you too." Her fingers twitched. Even half dead, she was listening. Smoke curled around them like a living thing. The heat from the ground still burned. Drones buzzed far in the sky, scanning for movement. One wrong sound, and they'd be marked. He had to move. Her, soon. But first, he did something crazy. He removed his helmet. For a long moment, the human and the alien just looked at each other, face to face. She saw his tired eyes. He saw the blue light fading from hers. She wasn't a monster. She was someone left behind, just like him. Once, he reached into his pouch and pulled out a water tube. Pressing it to her lips, he let a few drops slide in. She swallowed weakly, then coughed. It was the first sound she had made since falling. "There you go," he said. "You're not dying today." Then he heard it. Footsteps. Heavy, getting closer. Ryder tensed and pulled his rifle. Close. 2 shapes moved through the smoke-armed human soldiers. He recognized the markings on their gear. They were from his unit. But if they saw him with her— "She's still alive," one of them said, pointing. The other narrowed his eyes. "Zarian, shoot her." Ryder stood quickly, blocking their view. "No." "What?" the soldier said, confused. "I said no. She's the enemy. She's—" Defenseless. An awkward silence. "Step aside, Ryder." "No." The second soldier raised his weapon. "You're disobeying direct protocol." Ryder's voice didn't shake. "Then mark me down." The wind blew, kicking up ash and sand. The silence stretched. Finally, the soldiers lowered their guns. "We didn't see anything," one muttered. They turned and disappeared into the smoke. Ryder let out a slow breath and turned back to the alien woman. Her eyes were wide, not from pain, but from disbelief. "I told you," he whispered. "You're not dying today." Then, without another word, he picked her up slowly, carefully, and started walking deeper into the ruins. Each step was hard. Her armor weighed more than expected, and his legs ached from earlier fights. But he kept going, because now, it wasn't just about surviving the war. It was about saving something worth saving, someone no one else believed in. The ruins of the battlefield stretched far in every direction. Twisted metal, crushed bodies, black smoke. The smell of burning wires and blood filled the air. No birds, no wind. Just death. Ryder's boots crunched softly against the ash-covered ground. His arms trembled from the weight of the alien woman in his grip. She was unconscious now, her head resting against his shoulder. Her breath slow but steady. She looked so different like this. Quiet, broken, small, not like the deadly Zarian commander he had once seen on the enemy's broadcast screens. He remembered the warning clearly. Do not engage Commander Nayla. If found, shoot on sight. She does not surrender. But Ryder hadn't shot her. Instead, he was carrying her. And now, he was walking deeper into enemy territory to keep her alive. He was breaking the rules, breaking orders, breaking everything a soldier was supposed to. Stand for. And still, he walked. Each step was a risk. One wrong move and drones would lock on. Command might be listening. Any nearby soldier might spot him and report him. If that happened, Ryder would be labeled a traitor, aiding the enemy during active war. He might be court-martialed or executed. But Ryder didn't stop. He looked at the alien woman again. Her armor glowed faintly in some places, broken in others. Her once strong hands hung limp by her side. She didn't deserve to die like that, Ryder whispered to himself. He found a small half-destroyed comms outpost. The metal roof had collapsed, but parts of the walls remained. Good enough to hide for now. Ryder lowered her gently onto a pile of sandbags and checked her wounds. Her leg had stopped bleeding, but it was turning purple. He took out a nano patch and stuck it over the area. It lit up, scanning the injury and injecting pain blockers. He opened his ration pack, crushed a food tablet into powder, mixed it with water, and slowly poured a few drops into her mouth. She groaned. Her eyes fluttered open for a moment. He smiled. Slightly. Still with me, huh? She looked at him for a second, then closed her eyes again, but this time, more peacefully. Ryder sat beside her and leaned his head against the cold wall. His chest ached with guilt and fear. He was a soldier. He wasn't supposed to care. But he remembered something from his past. Years ago, his younger brother had died in a bombing. Ryder had arrived too late. No one had stopped to help. Civilians had walked past. Soldiers, too. No one had risked anything to save his brother. He had promised himself then, if I ever get the chance to save someone, I won't walk away. Now that promise lived again. Suddenly, a beep echoed from his comm. He grabbed it quickly. Command. All soldiers in Sector 9 report. Enemy presence detected. All survivors must be scanned and turned in. No mercy, no delay. Ryder froze. If they scanned the area, they'd find her. He turned off the comm. Smashed it against the ground. He was no longer part of the army. Not after this. He was something else now, a protector. He stood up, checked the area, then dragged a piece of metal over the entrance of the broken outpost. It would hide them for now. Outside, engines roared in the sky. Searchlights moved across the ground. Ryder returned to her side. You were a commander once, he said. Strong, brave, feared. Now you're hurt, and they left you. He looked at his own hands. They were shaking. They'd leave me too, he added with a dry laugh. If I was on the ground bleeding. For a moment, she opened her eyes again. Her voice, dry and broken, whispered something in Zarian. He didn't understand the words, but he understood the look, gratitude, and confusion. No one had ever helped her like this, especially not a human. He nodded. Yeah, I know. I don't get it either. But deep inside he did. Helping her wasn't just saving a life. It was saving something that war had almost destroyed in him. His humanity. Asterisk. The night on planet Theron 7 was thick with silence and danger. The twin moons hung low in the sky, casting pale blue light over the scorched land. Nothing moved. The war had left the ground cracked, the forests burned, and the air heavy with fear. But somewhere deep inside that war zone, a man was carrying his enemy through the dark. Jay Ryder, the human soldier who broke every rule, now walked carefully through the shadows holding the body of a Zarian warrior who should have been dead. She was lighter now. Or maybe he was just getting used to her weight. Her name was Nyla, though she hadn't spoken it. She hadn't spoken much at all. Ryder had found her days ago, paralyzed, abandoned, left for dead by her own people. And though everything told him to walk away, he COULDN, single quotes D. Now, he was going deeper into enemy land, not for an order, not for glory, but for her. Each step was a new risk. Behind them, search drones hummed in the sky, scanning for heat signatures. In front of them, Ryder didn't even know where safety was. He had no map, no contact, no backup. Just a promise to himself. I will not let her die. He ducked into the remains of a collapsed medical station. Most of it was destroyed, burned walls, shattered lights, but one room had a working door and a sealed roof. It would do. He laid Nyla down gently on a thick blanket. Her body twitched. She was waking up. Her eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly in the moonlight. She stared at the ceiling for a moment, confused, then turned to him. Where? She whispered in broken English. Far from the front lines, Ryder replied. You're safe. For now. Her lips moved again. Why? Save me? Ryder didn't answer right away. He checked her bandages, refilled her water, adjusted her position to ease the pressure on her spine. Then he sat beside her, leaning against the cold wall. Because no one else did, he said finally. Not even your own people. Nyla's eyes grew sharp. There was pain behind them. Shame. She looked away. Ryder saw it. He recognized that look. He had worn it once. She wasn't just hurt, she was betrayed. They said Zarians never retreat, Ryder added quietly. But they left you behind like you were nothing, Nyla winced. Her voice came low. I was slowing them down. Doesn't matter, Ryder said. A real leader doesn't leave their wounded. Silence stretched between them. Then, slowly, Nyla turned her head. You are not like the others. Ryder chuckled. I get that a lot. She studied him. This strange human. His hair was wet with sweat, his arms bruised, his eyes tired but kind. You risk much, she said. No. Why? Ryder looked down at the blaster resting near his knee. Because somewhere along the way, this war stopped making sense, and saving you feels like the first real thing I've done in years. A long silence, then a whisper. My name is Nyla. He nodded. I'm Ryder. The moment hung. There, two enemies, two warriors. Now, two survivors. But danger wasn't gone. A red flash blinked across the broken monitor in the corner. Motion detected. Ryder jumped to his feet, pulling his rifle. He checked the screen. A drone patrol, closing in fast. Thermal scan, wide sweep. They had maybe 5 minutes. He turned to Nyla. We have to move. I can't. He knew that. Her spine wasn't fully healed. She could barely sit up. Carrying her again would slow them down. Still, he didn't hesitate. Ryder slid his arms beneath her and lifted her onto his back. You saved my name, she whispered, almost in wonder. And I'll save the rest of you too, he said. He kicked open the back door and slipped into the darkness. The drones passed overhead. Lights scanning, searching. But Ryder was fast and silent. He ducked under a collapsed bridge, crawled through an old service tunnel, and came up near the edge of the canyon where smoke covered the ground like a blanket. Here, in the thickest fog. He set her down again. Both of them were shaking now, exhausted, hunted and alone, but not afraid. You know what this means, right? He asked. NYL and nodded weakly. Yes, we are both behind enemy lines now. He looked into her glowing eyes and gave a tired smile. Good, then maybe we can start fighting the right war. The cave was cold and dark, hidden beneath layers of broken stone and twisted metal. a forgotten place. Once used by engineers as a mining outpost, now just a shelter for ghosts. But for Ryder and Neela, it had become something else, a space between two worlds. Ryder had laid down his jacket to soften the rock floor. He sat nearby, legs crossed, cleaning his rifle. Not because he needed to, but because it gave his hands something to do while his mind raced. Nyla was resting against the wall, her head tilted back, eyes half open. The painkillers from his medkit were working, but barely. Her body still trembled at times. But she wasn't just breathing now, she was watching, thinking. And for the first time, she was talking. "In my world," Neela whispered, "we are trained to believe humans are wild animals. Emotional, unpredictable, dangerous." Ryder chuckled. "Sounds about right. But not you," she added, eyes meeting his. "You confuse me." Ryder leaned back. "That's fair. I confuse myself sometimes." She tilted her head. "Why risk your life for me?" Ryder paused. He looked down at the dirt between them. Then, slowly, he said, "Because when I found you, I didn't see a Zarian soldier. I didn't see an enemy. I saw someone in pain, someone left behind. I've been that person." She studied him in silence. "You were left behind too?" she asked. He nodded. "Not on the battlefield. But in life?" "Yeah, I lost people. I got forgotten, pushed aside, when I saw you lying there. It was like looking at myself." Nyla's eyes softened. She had never heard a human speak like this. Not in battle, not in broadcasts. This wasn't just an enemy, this was a man with scars, ones that didn't show on the outside. "I never thought a human could understand," she whispered. He looked up at her. "And I never thought an alien would thank me." They both smiled. It wasn't much, but it was real. And in this war, that was rare. Neela shifted and winced. Ryder moved quickly to help her sit upright. "You should rest," he said. "I can't." "Sleep," she whispered. "Not after everything." Ryder sat beside her, close but not too close. Just enough for her to feel he was still there. "I used to think Zarians had no hearts," he said. "That you were made of stone." "We are told the same," she replied. "That humans are weak because they feel too much." "Maybe that's why we're different," he said. "And maybe that's why we're still alive." A long silence passed between them. Then Nyla spoke again. "My name is more than Nyla," she said softly. "My full title is Commander Neela Van of the First Claw, but I haven't heard anyone call me that in a long time." "You're not a commander here," Ryder said. "You're a survivor and a fighter." She turned toward him. "And you? You're no longer a soldier." He nodded. "No, I guess I'm just human." She reached out suddenly, her hand trembling, and touched his arm. Her fingers brushed his skin rough. "Warm, real, human," she repeated. "Not enemy. Not monster." Ryder didn't move. He let her hand rest there. Because at that moment, something between them changed. She was no longer just an alien warrior. She was Nyla, a woman broken by war, but still alive, still strong, still reaching for something beyond fear. And Ryder? He was no longer just a lost soldier carrying guilt. He was the only human who saw her not as a threat, but as a person. Outside the cave, the wind howled. Enemy drones buzzed in the skies. The war continued. The galaxy burned, but inside, a quiet bond had formed, not from peace, not from words, but from pain shared and survival earned. The sun rose slowly over the wastelands of Theron 7. It wasn't golden or warm, it was cold and gray, casting long shadows over broken ground and rusting metal. The kind of light that made everything look dead. But in a quiet cave, hidden beneath a shattered ridge, two souls were still alive. Ryder woke with a jolt. Not from a dream, but from a sound, faint, far away. but too familiar. Engines. He crawled toward the cave's edge and looked. Through a gap in the rocks. HOVERCRAFTS. Human. Hovercrafts, but they weren't rescue teams. These were command retrieval units, machines sent to clean up what the war left behind. Anything moving that wasn't tagged would be captured or burned. They weren't looking to help anyone. They were hunting, and Ryder was now a target. He turned back. Nayla was still asleep, breathing shallowly. She looked almost peaceful. Her armor had been removed the night before. Beneath it, she wore a thin gray undersuit torn in places but still holding warmth. Her wounds had closed, mostly. She was healing slowly, but she still couldn't stand. He touched her shoulder. "Nyla, wake up, we have to move." Her eyes opened. "What is it?" "Units are coming, not for you, for me." She blinked. "You helped me. They want to punish you?" He nodded. Nyla tried to sit up, groaning. "You should leave me." "Not happening," he said firmly. She looked at him, stunned. "You are risking everything." "For me." "Not everything," he said. "Just enough to matter." They had no time. He packed supplies quickly, helped her to her feet, and braced her against him. Her legs were shaking, but she pushed forward, together. They climbed from the cave and entered a dried-out canyon. The ground was hot. The wind carried the scent of metal and ash. They didn't speak. They couldn't. Drones could pick up voices. Ryder had already disabled his tracking tag, but he didn't know how long before Command realized he had gone dark. Then came the noise. Loud. Close. A spotlight hit them. "Identify yourself." A voice boomed from the sky. Ryder raised his hands. "This is Sergeant Ryder, Unit Delta 3. I'm with a wounded survivor." "You are aiding a known enemy," the voice replied coldly. "Drop the target and surrender." Ryder didn't move. "Do it now or face termination." He turned to Nayla. "They won't stop. Even if I give you up, they'll still execute me." Her eyes were wide, glowing with emotion. "I will not let you die for me. You don't get to decide that," he said. "This is my choice." Nayla suddenly pulled herself from him and stumbled forward. Ryder grabbed her, shouting, "What are you doing?" But she raised her hand toward the drone above and spoke in her own language, sharp, clear words. It wasn't just speech. It was a code, a message. A Zarian call sign. The drone paused. For the first time, Ryder realized what she had done. She had contacted her own people. "You're not just a commander," he whispered. "You're a beacon." She looked at him, steady. "There are still a few who answer when I call." In the distance, a deep hum filled the air. Another ship. Not human, Zarian design. Sleek, fast, black as night. Ryder backed up, raising his weapon just in case. But Nyla reached out and lowered his rifle. "They won't hurt you, not if I say so." The Zarian ship landed in a burst of dust and wind. Its doors opened. Armed guards stood tall, eyes locked on both of them. One stepped forward. A tall female Zarian with red skin and gold markings. "Commander Nyla," she said in Zarian. "We received your signal. But why do you stand beside?" "A human?" Nayla's voice was calm. "Because he saved me when you all left me behind." The guard stiffened. "He is the enemy." "No," Nyla said firmly. "He is honor." Silence followed. Then the guard stepped aside. "You may enter." Ryder stared at her. "You don't have to." But Nyla grabbed his hand. "I don't want to go alone," she said. "Not after what we've been through." Together, they stepped into the Zarian ship. The doors closed behind them. Above the broken battlefield, a ship lifted into the sky carrying two enemies who no longer saw each other that way. The stars outside the window didn't blink. They just floated silent, cold, and endless. Ryder sat in the medical bay of the Zarian ship, staring at the galaxy beyond. He had no idea where they were headed. The ship didn't fly like human crafts. It glided smooth, quiet, like a shadow across the stars. Behind him, soft footsteps echoed. It was NYL, a no longer weak. No longer in pain. She walked carefully but with purpose. Her injuries were healing fast now with advanced Zarian medicine. Her armor was gone, replaced by a long gray robe with silver trim. She didn't look like a commander anymore. She looked free. Feeling better? Ryder asked without turning. Stronger, she said. Thanks to you. He finally turned to face her. Her eyes still glowed faintly, but they were softer now. No longer filled with orders or battle. Just something. Calm. Something alive. Your people didn't like me much, Ryder said. They still don't, she replied honestly. He smirked. That's fair. But they listened to me, she added. Because I told them the truth. What truth? She stepped closer. That a human chose mercy over victory. That you saw me as more than a weapon. That you reminded me who I really was. Ryder looked at her quietly. Who are you now, Nyla? She paused, then sat beside him. I am someone who owes her life to a man she was trained to kill. They both laughed quietly for the first time since the war began. Where are we going? Ryder asked. Neutral space. A Zarian outpost untouched by war. They'll give you shelter. If I speak for you, and if you don't, they'll airlock you, she said flatly. He raised an eyebrow. She smirked. Lucky for you, I will. Silence settled again, but it wasn't awkward. It was peaceful. Ryder leaned back. You know, back there, on that battlefield, I didn't think I'd make it out alive. I didn't save you because I had a plan. I just couldn't walk away. No, she said softly. And I couldn't let you be hunted for doing what was right. He turned his head, looking at her closely. You're not the person I imagined when I heard the name Commander Nyla, and you're not the monster I was told humans were. She reached out slowly and took his hand. It was warm, solid. Real, maybe, she said. This war didn't need to end with victory, but with understanding. Ryder didn't speak. He just held her hand tighter. Two enemies, once strangers on a battlefield, now sat side by side, floating through the stars. There was no ceremony, no medals, no parades. Just a bond. Quiet, unbreakable, born not from orders or duty, but from choice. From mercy. From war.